Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and welcome to the St. Regis Hotel in New York City for the Baseball Hall of Fame and Baseball Writers Association of America's press conference to introduce the BBWAA class of 2018. I'd also like to welcome all of you watching live on the MLB Network. From right to left on the dais, it is my pleasure to introduce you to Jack O'Connell, Secretary-Treasurer of the Baseball Writers Association of America, Jane Forbes Clark, Chairman of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, 2018 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Jim Thome, 2018 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Chipper Jones, 2018 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Trevor Hoffman, 2018 Baseball Hall of Fame electee Vladimir Guerrero, serving as Spanish language interpreter today, one of the voices of the Angels, Jose Mota, and President of the National Baseball Hall of Fame and Museum, Jeff Idelson. We're very happy here to have with us, as part of our electees' families, Vladdy's mother, Altagracia, his girlfriend, Roxani, as well as additional members of his family and his brothers. Trevor's wife, Tracy, and their three children, Brody, Quinn, and Wyatt, welcome. Chipper's wife, Taylor, welcome. And Jim's wife, Andrea, as well as their children, Landon and Leela. Thank you all for joining us. I'd now like to invite Jack O'Connell of the Baseball Writers Association of America to say a few words.
Since the shutout election of 2013, the baseball writers have elected 16 players in the past 5 elections, the most ever in such a period. These 4 men, by any measure a distinguished class, are the continuation of that parade. I thank the 422 writers who took part in this year's election. Also special mention to my counting partner, Michael DeLisi of Ernst & Young, and his administrative assistant, Cynthia Jeter. We're also in debt to the Elias Sports Bureau for their assistance in the process, plus our good friends in Cooperstown who worked so hard on the registry, Craig Muter and Jackie Brown. It is the cooperation of all these people that brings us to a special day such as this one. And gentlemen, come July, you'll be exactly where you should be.
Thank you, Jack. Now I'd like to invite Hall of Fame President Jeff Idelson to say a few words.
Thanks, Chesta. On behalf of Jane, our board of directors, the entire staff in Cooperstown, thank you so much for joining us today. We're also joined by 3 of our board members, Kevin Moore, Harvey Schiller, and Bill Gladstone, owner of the Tri-City Valley Cats, the World Series champion Houston Astros single-A affiliate in Troy, New York. I'd also like to welcome Artie Moreno and his wife Carol, who are here on behalf of the Angels. Jane and I would like to commend Jack and the baseball writers for the exemplary work they do in evaluating candidates for the Baseball Hall of Fame, which we all know is no easy task. And to echo Jack, a special thanks to our friends at Ernst & Young, our partner since 1997, and especially to Mike DeLisi, who's worked on our elections every year and done such a great job. I think we all know one of the most difficult career paths in the world is to the major leagues. And in the long history of professional baseball, more than 19,000 men have been privileged to play Major League Baseball and wear a Major League uniform. 1% of them, 1 out of 100, make it to Cooperstown. So that's really how special the Hall of Fame election is, and these men are among the select few. The hallmark of the class of 2018 will be its diversity and middle-of-the-lineup power. And when you look at these 4 guys, you add in Alan Trammell and Jack Morris, I think the Hall of Fame had a pretty good offseason, adding a starter, a closer, 2 corner infielders, a shortstop, and a right fielder. Pretty good offseason. In 1990, the Braves made Chipper first pick in the draft, and yesterday he joined Ken Griffey Jr. as the only #1 picks to make it to Cooperstown thus far. He spent 19 productive seasons in Atlanta, hitting .303 lifetime with 2,726 hits, 549 doubles, 468 home runs, and now he joins switch-hitting power hitters like Mickey Mantle and Eddie Murray in Cooperstown. Vladdy was a rare 5-tool player who patrolled right field in Montreal and in Anaheim, and he had a cannon for an arm very similar to Roberto Clemente, who played for the Pirates. In over 15 impressive seasons, he hit .318 with nearly 2,600 hits, 477 doubles, 449 home runs, 1,496 RBIs. He hit 300 or better 13 times and topped the 30 home run mark 8 times. He's the third player born in the Dominican Republic and the first position player to be honored with a Hall of Fame plaque, joining Pedro Martinez and the Dominican dandy Juan Marichal. Vladdy, te veo en Cooperstown, mi amigo. When you think of power in Cooperstown, you think of guys like Harmon Killebrew, Willie Mays, Dave Winfield, Hank Aaron, Ken Griffey Jr., and Babe Ruth. Can you imagine a home run derby with all of them and Jim Thome? Jim could hit, batting .276 lifetime with 451 doubles, 612 very, very long home runs, 8th most all time. Built for longevity, played 22 seasons, and when you think about it, only 35 players in the entire history of the game played longer than Jim Thome. Jim, somewhere Bob Feller is smiling. He loved watching you play, and I'm sure he wishes he could be in Cooperstown with you. Hall of Fame's pitching staff was bolstered in a big way yesterday, too. They don't come any better than Trevor, who joins Hoyt Wilhelm, Raleigh Fingers, Goose Gossage, Dennis Eckersley, and Bruce Sutter in Cooperstown's bullpen. I'd take that bullpen any day. Over 18 seasons, 16 with the Padres, 1,035 games, 601 saves, the first to 500 saves, first to 600 saves, currently ranked second. 7-time All-Star, posted 30 or more saves 14 times, and today he's a Hall of Famer. Gentlemen, you're now teammates forever with Jack Morris and Alan Trammell, greatest team ever assembled, the Hall of Fame team. We're giving you all lifetime contracts, I'm pleased to say, which means you're not going anywhere, and we're thrilled to welcome you to Cooperstown. So now I'd like to ask you to stand and put on your jerseys and caps of your final team.
It's a race.
Thanks, guys. Have a seat. Thank you, guys. And now I'm going to ask that each new member of the Hall of Fame offer an opening statement, and we're going to start with Vladdy here.
Gracias a los que votaron por mí y los que no votaron, y me siento bastante contento que soy el primer dominicano de bateador y soy el tercero de nuestro país en Dominicana.
Thanks to all of those for your votes and recalling and how special it is to be the third Dominican voter into the Hall of Fame. Truly appreciate your votes. To be the first position player means a whole lot, and forever thankful about this beautiful moment.
Y pensé mucho, pero ahora me voy con la gorra de Anaheim.
After a lot of thought, I have decided to wear the Angels hat into the Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
He wants more, go.
Y como siempre uno dice, con Dios adelante, le doy gracias a mi familia que están aquí ahora mismo, y yo creo que le doy gracias a mi mamá que me tuvo en el mundo, y yo creo que me siento bastante contento que ella vio el premio que casi todo el mundo quería ver.
Very thankful for my family, especially for my mom, Altagracia, who was here, and that she gets to see the reward and the prize of what everybody wanted to see when I came into the world. Truly thankful for the whole family being here today, especially to Mama Altagracia. Gracias.
Ya. Sigo. No, y que también yo creo que esto no es de mi pueblo, sino de nuestra República Dominicana y los latinos. Yo creo que uno que trata es hacer buen trabajo y gracias a Dios lo hice en 16 años que jugué Grande Liga.
This is not only about my small little town in Don Gregorio in Dominican Republic. It's about the whole country, and it's about celebrating Latin America. And to see that I did over 16 years of the big leagues makes me feel very privileged.
Y nada, me siento contento y con Dios adelante seguir, que sigan entrando más latinos al Salón de la Fama aquí en Estados Unidos.
And I thank God again, and I would like to see more Latin Americans come and be part of this whole special presentation and announcement into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Vladdy. Trevor?
Good afternoon. Thank you for everyone here with us today for showing up, everyone on our television network watching as well. Jane and Jack, thanks for a fantastic lunch. Jeff, for being here. Congratulations to the men next to me on their induction as well. I'm humbled by their presence and congratulate them on their enshrinement. I'm blessed to have my family here with me today and sharing this moment and future moments to come. I truly love you guys, and I'm glad you could be here. I'm thankful for the opportunity to be up here today, and as a closer, I'm going to try and keep it short. Thank you.
Thanks, Trevor. Chipper?
I would like to take this opportunity to, again, congratulate these guys. These guys were great players on the field. They're even better people off of it. What these guys meant to their respective cities, what they did to help people less fortunate themselves throughout their careers is truly something to be commended for. We got a pretty diverse group up here. We got the surfer guy from California and the big donkey strong Midwest guy, And then obviously what Vladimir means in the Dominican Republic, not just the Dominican Republic, but to all Latin players. And then you got everybody, involved in the Southeast, down in Braves country that has followed my career. I would like to take this opportunity to thank, everybody who had a hand in helping me get here, all my friends and family from the little town of Pearson, Florida, Jacksonville, Florida, where I went to high school, and then obviously a ton of people in the Braves organization in Atlanta. This is going to be a cool ride. I want to share it with each and every one of you, as well as these guys sitting up here. Thank my wife, Taylor, for being here, and my parents for being so instrumental. We don't know how lucky some of us are. My parents have been together for almost 50 years, and to have a support system like that is truly invaluable. So I want to thank the writers for giving me this tremendous honor. It is truly a blessing to be sitting up here in the company of greatness with these guys. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Chipper. And Jim?
I want to congratulate Chipper, Hoffy, and Vlad. Couldn't go in with three better guys. I think they kind of exemplified what the game was all about in my career, watching each of them, playing against Chipper at a young age, facing Hoffy, watching Vlad swing at balls that hit dirt that would just go out of the ballpark. What a special talent. I want to thank my family, Lila, Landon, and my beautiful wife, Andrea. All the support you guys have given me, I think it doesn't go unnoticed in a guy's career. I want to thank the writers for the careful, thought-out process. It's got to be something that you guys put a lot of time and effort in, and I think we as players really appreciate that. I want to thank all those great organizations that supported me, all those instructors, all those hitting instructors, all those managers that supported me and put me in the lineup and, just showed that everyday grind. We were all in the grind together. And to be here today, I have to tell you, is a little surreal. Going to sleep, I said to my wife, I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer. This is very, very special, and I don't take it for granted. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Jim. And now we are ready to begin the Q&A. Ask that if you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for a microphone to be brought to you. We have Patrick and Alex here who are going to be providing microphones. And before you ask your question, please state your name and affiliation and be sure to indicate for whom your question is addressed. We'll begin here on the left.
Lloyd Carroll, Queens Chronicle. Trevor, last year you missed by an eyelash, so I'm curious, was this on your mind for the whole year? Did you put it out of your mind quickly and assume that you were going to get in this year being so close? And do you have any words of advice for Edgar Martinez, who's on that precipice right now?
Well, you certainly don't assume anything in this game, whether you're playing or post-career. I certainly was ecstatic with the progress of the vote for the first 2 years to where I was at last year. Was excited to be a part of that potential group last year, but I couldn't be more excited about the group I'm with here. It's a very difficult process that all the writers do go through, and it's a labor of love. And once you finally do get that call, you see the 212 on the phone. It's something you can't really prepare for. It's something that, as you saw with all the families and getting to share that moment, it's a once in a lifetime. I certainly think Edgar is a tremendous athlete, tremendous player, and his day will come next year.
Tyler on the left.
Tyler Kepner with the New York Times. Chipper, I wanted to ask you, you're going in as a third baseman, but that's still the least represented position in the Hall of Fame. Why do you think there are fewer third basemen than any other position? And to Trevor and Jim, I know you both played at Jim in the major leagues and Trevor in the minors some. Could you talk a little bit about how you were as a defensive third baseman, both of you? But Chipper first, I guess.
That's a great question. I don't really know. I know there's going to be another one following here pretty soon with Adrian Beltre. He's a tremendous player. I can't wait to see him enshrined. He's a guy that I have looked across and admired, for quite some time. I don't know. I think it's maybe the lifespan of a third baseman is not what it should be. We're known as hockey goalies down there, just trying to knock stuff down. I don't know. That's a great question. I'm proud to be a part of that very small fraternity. I think you see some really good young third basemen coming up. I'm sure the fraternity will get much bigger here pretty soon.
As my career evolved, for me, it was a very demanding position. And I think the respect I have for a guy like Chipper to do it within a 17 to 20-year period was just incredible. The demand on your body, and he's exactly right. You're a hockey goalie. Personally, I think the best move for me was to move off of third base, go to first base with the history of my back that I fought later in my career. But this is, I think, what's amazing about him going in. I mean, it's an iconic position with an iconic player that did wonderful things his whole career, from day one that I seen him in Richmond to at the end in Atlanta. That's what's so special.
I was terrible, but I enjoyed the story that Chipper had said earlier before we came in, and that he was holding hands with the third base coach down in Montreal past the bullpen when Vlad would come up. So it might have something to do with the short longevity of some of the people at third. But it's a grind to be an everyday ball player, and the things that you have to do to take care of yourself to be out there and post up, and that's certainly something these guys did do in their career. To have the load that Chipper had to deal with being 1-1 and all the expectations and show up and match that and do it on a daily basis, certainly there's a reason why he's here today. So I couldn't give you a specific answer on why third base is what it is at this point in time, but Adrian, like Chipper said, is coming and will add to it.
Over here on the right.
Kelsey Hennigan, MLB.com. I know you guys spent a lot of time in the minors in places like Chattanooga and Charlotte and Durham and Harrisburg. How did that time in the minors help your career? That's for all of you.
I'll go first.
Yeah, I think the minor league life was demanding. You know, you're getting on buses, you got to learn how to eat right, you have to get sleep, and then also perform and try to get better every day. You're going to the ballpark at 1 o'clock. If Charlie Manuel was your manager or instructor, you might be there at 11 a.m. to hit. But I just think the demands of a minor league player is something, whether you're coming out of high school or college, 14-hour bus rides are very tough. But the grind is, I think, what prepares you for the big leagues. And that's what's so great about all those cities, the Carolinas, the Kinston. I personally played in Charlotte, loved the baseball, still go around those areas now with the White Sox working for them. And I think it's what's special about the game.
The minor league process, it's a weeding out process. That they're trying to find, you know, out of 50, 60, 70 guys on 3 rookie ball squads, they're trying to narrow it down and get a handful of guys that can help the big league club. So they're gonna send you to boot camp right away. You're gonna be up at 9 o'clock. You're gonna be taking ground balls all day until noon, hitting. You know, you might get a ham sandwich and an apple, you know, for lunch, and then it's right back out to play a baseball game. And it's not much of a baseball game, folks. It's 4 hours of watching kids can't throw strikes and bad umpires and people can't make it's a boring game, but they find out whether you want to go the extra step right away. Those bus rides and those long games and those long nights, it weeds people out in a hurry, and you got to be completely and totally focused on what your goal is to make it through that.
I think if you look at something glass half full rather than empty, you're going to look for positives in anything. Some of the moments that I shared in the minor leagues were some of my greatest moments in baseball, sharing them with teammates that had a lot of commonality. We didn't have a lot on our plate at that time. Having had the chance to play in Chattanooga, I got to taste some of the best fried chicken in my life just down the street across the railroad track at a gas station. That was incredible. I took my son Quinn to it on one of our trips. So there's some special stuff in the minor leagues. I think the weeding out process is certainly a part of it, but there are memories that you can't take away.
Vladimir, ¿qué significó para ti la influencia y la experiencia de jugar en ligas menores, principalmente como latino y como dominicano?
Bueno, como latino, uno tenía que levantarse siempre temprano, a las 6 de la mañana. Si no cogía el bus, tenía que buscar quién te llevara. Como uno no sabía mucho el inglés, uno trataba era siempre levantarse temprano para coger la guagua que va a llevar uno todos los días por la mañana.
What I recall vividly is the 6 a.m. bus, and knowing that I was a Hispanic player and not speaking English, I make sure I didn't miss that first bus because there's nobody to drive me. I wasn't driving, and with a limited, obviously, in language, it was very tough. So he says he recalls mainly making sure he got up on time to not miss that first bus, to make sure things went the right way for the rest of the day.
Y lo otro que también ya uno trataba de saber cocinar, porque a veces la comida no era muy buena para uno desde que uno comenzó a viajar, entonces uno trataba de cocinar su misma comida.
And more importantly is learning how to cook, because we had to get used to a different diet, keeping with your nutrition. You know that the food choices were not where you're used to in your country growing up, so Mama did a good job. So Vladdy says the main thing is learning how to cook for yourself, which, of course, is still very important to Vladdy.
On the aisle on the right.
Vladdy, Omar Guzmán, Virus Deportivo. En este gran momento de tu vida, ¿tú no te has tomado el tiempo de pensar de dónde tú saliste, a dónde tú llegaste y hacia dónde te diriges ahora?
Vladdy, at this point in your life, have you stopped to think about where you came from, where you've been, and now where you are?
Bueno, si no iba a pensar, no estuviera viviendo en mi mismo pueblo. Yo creo que me siento contento de que comencé de Liga Menores a vivir en mi pueblo natal, que es Don Gregorio. Y yo creo que uno trata de seguir compartiendo con su familia, con su gente que lo vio nacer Y yo creo que eso es que siempre voy a tener siempre en alto y a esperar que pase.
Yes, I have, and I've thought about it because it is why I still live in the same village, in the same town that saw me come into the world in Don Gregorio, which is very important. And the more I thought about that as a player, the more I think about it is I want to be with the people that saw me grow up and share the success that I've had with those people. And to this day, those are my people. And certainly, and keeping that in mind and being mindful of that is what keeps me grounded and keeps me is to knowing that I represent all of them. And as Vladdy likes to say at the end, we'll see what happens.
Over here on the left.
Ron Blum from Associated Press. For Jim, Vladdy, and Trevor, if you could wave a magic wand, would you trade making the Hall of Fame for winning one World Series title?
Wow. Dilly dilly.
I'm glad I didn't have to answer that one.
I know. Hey, yeah, because you guys beat us. Boy, I think winning a World Series is obviously, I think as a player, the ultimate. Making it to the major leagues, getting an opportunity to play in the major leagues a long time. Gosh, that's a tough question because this is such a special day, and I don't think you ever envision at the end of your career going into the Hall of Fame. But as a player, I think you do envision winning a World Series. All those great teams in the 90s we had in Cleveland, you know, we were fortunate to be in the arena twice. I call the arena the World Series. And we came up short in 95 to the Braves and then 97 to the Marlins. But being in the arena, I wouldn't replace it. Those teams played well. You credit them. But it is very heartbreaking, I have to tell you. It's something that you will never lose sight of. You will never lose what it meant to prepare all winter and then to finally be introduced in a World Series is just the ultimate. So that's, I don't know if I answered it, but to me, I think a day like today is special, but I can only envision what it would have been like to win a World Series.
Yeah, you got a tough one right there. That's and I've been able to sit here and listen to Jim for a couple seconds. You know, I think you selfishly prepare and you unselfishly become a teammate. And I think in being able to do both of those, you're trying to strive for both. And so I'll stand on the fence and basically say both are pinnacles in our game. There's nothing more important than being able to share that as a team and winning together. But to give your best individually allows you to have that opportunity. So I would have liked to have been in that arena and also had that opportunity to win.
Vladimir, si pudieras escoger un momento y tener una vara mágica, escoger entre el Salón de la Fama y la escogencia y elección o haber ganado una serie mundial.
Wow, será muy difícil. Me siento contento ya que fui la única vez que fui fue con Tesa. Le doy gracias que me firmaron en 2010. No ganamos ¿cómo es? La serie mundial, pero me sentí contento que fue mi penúltimo año que fui con Tesa.
Very hard to come to that decision, but this is a time where he wants to thank the Texas Rangers because signing with the Rangers allowed him the opportunity, first of all, to stay in the game and to get to the World Series. Even though they did not win the World Series, it is an experience that he'll share for a long time. But certainly, as he was saying here off mic to me, it's about today, and today represents every single team that he played for. And certainly, thanks again to the Rangers for the opportunity to get to the World Series.
Third row on the right.
Vladimir, un placer. Daniel Reyes, Beso de Nación. Vladimir, tú has sido un ejemplo para la República Dominicana, Latinoamérica y especialmente para tu mamá que está aquí. Quiero que, ¿cómo pensaste? ¿En qué te fuiste? ¿Te fue la mente tuya esperando este día y lograr lo que tú querías, ya que te retiraste de béisbol? Y esto es lo que busca un pelotero cuando se retira también.
Vladdy, you've been a great example for players out of the Dominican Republic, for players out of Latin America. Thanks to your mother, Altagracia. In getting to this moment, what did you think about before the call, knowing that you retire as a player and the player that retires with your accolades, hopes of this type of day to come? So what was your thinking process from retirement until it happened yesterday with a phone call? ¿Qué pensaste?
Bueno, que a veces cuando yo me retiré no sabía que iba a entrar muy rápido en el salón, en la boleta, y me sentí contento del año pasado, que cuando salí en la boleta yo creo que uno se siente contento, que uno no sabía podía estar ahora en el Salón de la Fama, que gracias a Dios nada más duré 2 años y me siento contento con mi familia, como dije ahorita. Y yo creo que eso, como uno dice, uno es latino, dominicano, y siempre vamos a llevar nuestra bandera en alto.
The one thing that came to mind after I retired is knowing when I was going to appear on the ballot, and exciting that I appeared on the ballot last year, even though I came up short. But second year on the ballot and to be elected means a whole lot, and it's still very special to know that this day came about. You think about it as you're counting the days after retirement, but as a Dominican and as a Latino, certainly the amount of pride that exists inside of me today cannot be replaced.
Middle in the back, on the left.
This is for Chipper Jones. This is Dan Schlossberg from Latino Sports. Chipper, your election marks 6 Braves and 5 years to the Baseball Hall of Fame. So obviously you must have been thinking about it for a while, but when did you first start to think about this?
I don't know if you can ever really pinpoint a time when you start thinking about it. I think as you're coming down to the end of your career, you're watching your teammates go in, you're watching your manager go in, your general manager go in. As you start to hit some milestones, you always wonder where you're going to fall, where your numbers are going to put you, what people are going to think about your career and the numbers that you put up. But, you know, I never really put much stock in it. You know, to be honest with you, I spent 23 years in pro ball, 19 in Atlanta, and I just tried to put the best resume up possible. You know, at the end of 2012, when it was over, everything that I could control was done with. You know, it was out of my hands then. So, yeah, you might sit back and wonder where your place is, but ultimately it's in 430 people's hands, and you just have to trust in that. What I could control, I did to the best of my ability for 19 years, but it was reaffirmed, you know, where my place was yesterday, and I'm very, very honored for that.
Inner aisle here.
Danny Torres, Latino Sports. Vladi, primero felicidades, y quería decirte que hable sobre tu amigo Fred Ferreira, que él te firmó casi 25 años atrás. Habla de ese momento que fue, yo sé, tenía que mucho emocional, y háblame de ese momento cuando firmaste por primera vez, when you signed for the first time.
Bueno, por primera vez en mi pueblo firmaron a mi hermano más viejo, que se llama Eliezer o Eleazar, y el segundo fue Wilton. Me sentí contento cuando firmé con Montreal. Como dicen, que yo fui con un zapato sí, un zapato no. Eso es mentira. Fui con mi zapato normal. Ya mis 2 hermanos estaban firmados.
It was a very proud moment in my hometown because 2 of my brothers had signed professionally. And when they came to sign me and the Expos gave me the opportunity, certainly it was a day that I'll never forget, and the whole town will never forget. And the story about me wearing the wrong shoes is not right. So this is placed de los zapatos. But truly a very special day because it meant that I was going into professional baseball. Thank you to the Montreal Expos for that opportunity.
On the left in the middle.
Anthony Castrovitz, MLB.com. Another question for Vlad. You mentioned you represent all the teams you played for, but how difficult was the decision of Expos versus Angels for the plaque, and how special is it to be the first Angel recognized that way?
Vlad, tú dijiste que obviamente sí fue bien difícil tu decisión de ingresar con la gorra de los Angels y el logo de los Angels, pero sabiendo tus años con Montreal, ¿qué tan difícil fue esa elección, elegir entre tus años en Montreal, que fueron tan productivos, y elegir obviamente pues tu decisión de entrar con los Angels?
Bueno, a veces tuve 7 años con Montreal, tuve buenos años. Y yo creo que también tuve los 6 años con Anaheim. Yo creo que uno trató que fue difícil, pero me fui con Anaheim. Y uno le doy las gracias también a los en los canadienses, y que fue mi primer equipo y quise hacer buen trabajo. Gracias a Dios hice buen trabajo con ellos, y también les doy gracias el último que fue con Baltimore, a la gente de Baltimore.
Yes, those are 7 years of Montreal that I'll never forget. Very special years for me. And then going to the Angels, getting a taste of winning, and the way Montreal and the people prepared me for that. Also would like to thank the Baltimore Orioles for giving him the chance to, again, wear the big league uniform once again. And he toiled over this for a long time because Canadian people mean a whole lot to him. But certainly the election of the Angels means a whole lot because obviously he knows what it represented and what it represents now and all the winning.
Joe on the left.
Jim, Joe Posnanski, MLB.com. Congratulations. You hold the record for most walk-off home runs in baseball history. Would you talk a little bit about what that feeling was like for you coming up to the plate with the game on the line right at the end of the game? What was that like for you?
Well, I think as a young player, you go through this phase where there's anxiety, okay? You're the guy, the game's on the line, and then I think as you evolve as a player, you want to take that pressure off of yourself. And I think as my career evolved, I wanted to be put in a situation where you had a chance to win a game. When I went to LA, to the Dodgers, and Joe Torre told me, he said, hey, just so you know, I'm going to put you in situations to win a ball game. And that felt so great because I was at the stage of my career later on where I wasn't playing every day. I pinch hit. By the way, was not a very good pinch hitter. But just wanting to be in that situation and to feel the moment. You know, I know Chipper, I know Vlad. These guys could attest the same thing. Wanting to be in that situation, but I think it comes from learning it over time through experience.
Way in the back on the left.
This is for each of the players. Tom Ariam from AP Radio. At what point during your career did you realize you were playing at a Hall of Fame level?
I don't think you ever do because I think, you know, they only see the numbers. They don't see the struggles. They don't see you make way more outs than you get hits. You go through so many failures in this game, and I think longevity, you know, you look at all the iconic players in the game, all the guys that had tremendous. I played with one, Eddie Murray, in Cleveland. Look at his career. He played 20-some years. I think longevity creates an opportunity to go into the Hall of Fame. And then, as Chipper said, you don't really dissect it. I think you're blessed, you're fortunate to play 19, 22 years, and then it's you guys that get the opportunity to select us for a special day like this.
Yeah, just to expound upon that, I mean, I think we all as players, you know, we immerse ourselves in the game. All we ever do is go out and try and be 1/9 of the equation that helps us win a ball game. I think if we immerse ourselves in that kind of mindset, we kind of get lost, you know, in all the numbers. I mean, at the end of the night, yeah, okay, we went 2 for 4, double single, you know, help my team win a ball game. You're not really thinking, you know, down the road that much. I think it's obviously a compliment when somebody late in your career says, hey, man, you got a chance to make it to the Hall of Fame, but that's not what, you know, our lives are too busy. We're showing up at the ballpark at noon, 1 o'clock. We're getting ourselves ready to face Clemens, Johnson, Pedro, Schilling, this cat. You know what I mean? That's what we're worried about. We're not worried about, you know, who deems us Hall worthy after we're done playing.
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought about it. Randy Smith brought me over in '93, June 23rd, '93. I walked in the clubhouse, and there's Mr. Padre, Tony Gwynn, sitting there, and I got a chance to watch him for 8 years, and by no means ever thought to that level of being a player. I know I was a pitcher, but to watch him command a city, command a locker room. I was just a little brother watching, man. And so to ultimately have the opportunity, I'm pinching myself. It's something that I don't think is really even set in.
Vladimir, ¿en qué momento tú pensaste, si en algún momento en tu carrera, de que estabas jugando a un nivel de Salón de la Fama?
No, nunca pensé. Yo creo que lo que uno trataba era hacer buen trabajo. Venía siempre de dominicano trabajando fuerte. Y cuando me retiré, no sabía que, como dije ahorita, no sabía que iba a entrar tan rápido al Salón de la Fama. Y gracias le doy a los que votaron por mí.
No, I never thought about that. Obviously, you're so worried about just getting out of the Dominican Republic in a particular season, prepared enough to go out there and do a good job, never thinking about which level you're playing at, but making sure that you are at your best level and that you've done the most work to get ready for a season. And at the very end, after I retired and Hall of Fame came to be, it was all up to you, the writers, and I thank you.
We have time for just two more questions. We have one way in the back on the left.
Ricardo Zúñiga, Associated Press. Vladi, la pregunta es para ti. Si pudieses identificar un jugador o coach o manager que haya sido importante al principio de tu carrera, cuando llegaste a las mayores, para ayudarte a llegar a donde estás hoy en día.
Vladi, if there's a coach or manager that you can identify that helped when you got to the big leagues to pave the way for you, who is the person that comes to mind?
Bueno, mi primer manager fue Felipe Rojas Salón, que me dio la oportunidad de jugar todos los días. A veces, mi primer año que comencé en Grandes Ligas, me lesioné mucho en el 97. Después, gracias a Dios, me dio la oportunidad de jugar todos los días. Le doy gracias que me dio la confianza y le hice buen trabajo.
Felipe Alou, definitely my manager with the Expos, gave me the opportunity to be an everyday player. And even though as a rookie, I did go through some injuries. Felipe was very patient in explaining things to me and continued to put my name in the lineup every day when I was healthy. So Felipe Alou is the one person that I'm thankful for finding him earlier in my big league career.
We have one down in the front on the right.
Verónica Contreras de Telemundo para Vladimir. Yo sé que no han pasado 24 horas, pero ya te estás acostumbrando a que digamos Vladimir Guerrero, miembro del Salón de la Fama. ¿Y qué mensaje le das a esos niños que ahorita están en Dominicana jugando pelota, que quieren un día hacer lo que tú has logrado en tu carrera?
Vlad, even though it has been less than 24 hours, what have you thought about? Has it sunk in? And what message do you have for those youngsters in the Dominican Republic and all Latin America into going out there and following their dreams?
Bueno, que si lo que tratamos es siempre hacer buen trabajo. Yo sé que hay muchos niños allá en mi país, en mi pueblo también, que quieren ser igual que uno, pero lo que trato es que siempre tengan su mente en alto y que cuando vayan a querer hacer su trabajo, que siempre pongan a Dios adelante y que yo creo que eso siempre van a llegar.
So answer part 2 first. For the youngsters is to go out there and whatever you do, just try to do a good job, work hard, put God first, and let God guide you along in your career. But put your work in, especially for those in the Dominican Republic and in my hometown of Don Gregorio. La primera parte, no han pasado 24 horas, obviamente. It hasn't been 24 hours yet, but has it sunk in? What are you thinking about now? Can you say and think Vladimir Hall of Famer? ¿Puedes pensar en eso?
Bueno, cuando me hicieron la llamada, estaban esperando en mi casa aquí en Long Island. Esperando, no pasaban los minutos. Yo creo que uno, después que llegó, me sentí contento, que hicieron la llamada y yo creo que toda mi familia, todos los que estaban ahí, estaban esperando y quizá primero me siento contento que Arte y Moreno también me dio la oportunidad de jugar ese año en Anaheim.
Yes, it has sunk in, but it takes me back to yesterday and the waiting, which is the hardest part. And waiting, and the phone doesn't ring, and I got my whole family here in my house in Long Island, and we keep waiting and right by the phone, and it doesn't. And when it finally came, it just joy all over the house with my family members, all celebrating, incorporating into his answer how thankful he is to Artie Moreno and his wife for being supportive and for bringing him to Anaheim and to the Angels to go out there and perform. So yes, nervous. It finally came, a lot of smiles, and certainly thankful for so many people that were around him to celebrate that big moment.
And with that, we'll conclude the Q&A portion. I want to thank our 4 new electees for joining us today, and thank you all for participating in the press conference.